ready to rock and roll. The Gophers playing their first road series here in Duluth in over a decade, but you couldn't tell by the first period. Just 90 seconds in, Gophers' Brody Zeimer makes a sick move before he rips it far side on Adam Gahan. Gophers throw the first punch, and it's 1-0. And now those same Gophers are on the power play. The puck bobbles around in the crease way too long before Brody Lamb jumps on it and roofs it. Minnesota doubling the damage to 2-0. And just a few minutes after that, the Gophers just suffocating the Dogs in their own zone. Matthew Wood gets 2 grade A chances, knocks in his own rebound to make it 3-0. And we're still in the first period. The Gophers mastering the art of low to high as 6'4" defenseman Sam Renzel wires one home. Top cheddar after the first 20. The Gophers had 4 goals. The Bulldogs had 4 shots, but they competed harder in the second. Matthew Perkins throws it over to Aiden Dubinsky, who lets it rip. Beats the tender 5-hole. UMD finally on the board to make it 4-1. But that first 20 minutes proved to be the difference. The final score really doesn't tell the story as the Bulldogs fall to the 6th-ranked Gophers by a final score of 7-5. But hey, it doesn't matter in college hockey if you don't win on Saturday. Same teams, same rink tomorrow. Puck drop at 6 p.m. And now